All right. Welcome to episode 2 of why I created Streamlined Business Media. In the first episode, I talked a little bit about why I decided to make SBM, kind of what purpose it was set to solve, who it's for, and just to kind of recap. Um, we made SBM because I was not only trying to run this business SBM, but also we purchased a franchise called SprayNet, and so I'm trying to run that. My role as the integrator in both of these businesses is very demanding. So not only am I trying to manage and run these businesses, employees, customers, all of that, but I'm trying to put content out. There really is no business that exists outside of the internet these days, right? So you really either have a strong internet presence or a weak internet presence, but for the most part, if you're an entrepreneur, you're a small business owner, you're a brand manager, or even an influencer, if you are trying to promote yourself, you have to, at least in some aspect, do it online, right? Through social media or what we call business media. The distinction being, we're not trying to be viral. We're not trying to become influencers. I don't think I'm Joe Rogan, but I recognize that it is important for me to be doing what I'm doing in public so that people can see it. They can understand what I'm up to. They can learn to get to know me. Hopefully they like me. Then they start to trust me. And that really is kind of the beginning of the sales funnel. And it's really challenging to be doing all of this stuff for your business and then take time to sit down, write out some content, film it, mess it up, refilm it, overly criticize yourself, delete it, refilm it again. And then once you have one that you're, an acceptable video of yourself, even though you hate it, you're like, okay, this is good enough. Then you have to write a caption, maybe use ChatGPT or Claude or one of your AI websites to write something out, and maybe you refine it a little bit, but it really never sounds exactly the same as like what it would sound like if you wrote it. So, there's shortcuts, and AI is making our life easier, but it's still a challenge that you have to do, sit down and do the work. So then once you've written out your captions, you either have to decide, am I going to post this right now? Which you can do, right? You can log into Instagram, log into Facebook, log into Twitter, log into LinkedIn. Maybe you even put it on your YouTube channel or TikTok, whatever else you're trying to show up in public. You log in, you post a video, you write the caption, maybe you modify it for each platform. And if you want to post right away, then you're done. But a lot of people don't always want to post at the same time they have time to record. So if you have to buy or subscribe to a posting dashboard, like a platform where you can schedule out your posts for the future, then that costs money. That costs some of your time and bandwidth setting that up, and it especially is expensive if you want to have like a month's worth of posts put out in front of the day that you decide to record everything. So, it was a challenge for me to sit down and do all of this every day, every week, whatever my cadence was. I was really frustrated with trying to do this in a kind of like hand to mouth fashion where I would only post the things that I just recorded, and I didn't really have any systematized way of making sure that I stayed consistent. The problem is not that like I don't think I have something to share. The problem is that I know my content could matter, it could help somebody, is valuable to people, but I don't always feel inspired to post and record and edit and write captions and then post videos. And the struggle that I kept facing in doing that kind of was like the catalyst of like, okay, how could we systematize this process so that I still have to record myself, right? There's no getting around that yet. Maybe AI will be able to do that for me at some point in the future, which is terrifying. But for now, there's no substitute for me actually recording and saying what I want to say. But was there a way that we could systematize it so that I didn't have to do all of that work, all that, I could remove the friction to posting on a consistent basis, and have a systematized way to put my content out there. And I realized that, I struggle with this. My partner, Chris, struggles with this. He's busier than I am. He has a bunch of other ventures as well as these two businesses. And so we knew that if we were struggling with it, plenty of other people were too, business owners, brand managers, influencers, whatever. So and the caveat would be like, if you are already an influencer and you love being on social media, this is kind of your full-time gig. SBM isn't really for you. If you're already good at all that, I'm jealous. Good for you, because I think you're going to benefit tremendously from that in the future. But for the rest of us normies, we're all busy running our business, and we don't want to spend minutes, if not hours, every single day trying to do this in public. So it's not to say that what we have to say doesn't matter. It's just we don't really have the time to sit down and do this every day. You're already in the arena. You're hiring people, firing people, managing people. You're, generating leads. You're selling to clients. You're following up. You're managing client expectations. You're solving problems when they arise. Like, you're firefighting. You're already doing the work, right? So you are doing the hard part. And that's kind of my point here. That's the whole theme of this episode. You're doing the work. The content is the easy part, but only if you have the right system, right? You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to the level of your systems. And I tell, so I also coach MMA fighters this, and I tell my fighters all the time that you're not going to rise to the occasion on fight night. You're going to fall to the level of your preparation, right? And in business, what that means is you have to have a system in place. You have to have a kind of a safety net that allows you to have your good days and bad days, and fires come up, and vacations, whatever else. Like, you want to be out there living your life. You're not a slave to posting content. But if you don't have a system in place to do that, then it's only going to be as good as your good days, and it's going to be as bad as your bad days. Like, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So the reason we created SBM was to have a systematized way for people who are already in the arena, already doing the thing, to talk about it in a systematized way, and to get their content out there to, let people know what they're up to, get people to know them, like them, trust them, become the top of the funnel. And so we created SBM because it's a systematized way to do that, right? And man, did it feel really relieving to have finally kind of like at least crack this code, first iteration of this code, where I've kind of solved the problem, right? So what I do now is, it's Saturday morning. I had a busy week all week. I was working in the business, on the business, both businesses, with clients, with staff. Now Saturday, I get a little moment to breathe. And what I've done is I've written out kind of, some bullet points of things I want to talk about. And I'm just going to sit down and record my thoughts about what I'm up to these days. And it's really relieving to have a system in place to where all I have to do is show up, hit record, talk about the things I want to talk about, and then know that I have somebody that's going to edit these videos, somebody that's going to watch them objectively without the shame and judgment and all the negative self-talk that I have when I try to edit my own videos. I have somebody who is pretty objective, but he's optimistically objective. He's like, this is good enough. We're going to post it. He'll write out the caption for me. He will adjust the caption based on the platform, the Twitter versus the Instagram versus the LinkedIn. Those are all very different posts that you want to have. So it's not just copy paste 5 times. They're written for the platform that they go on. And then the big one is that he's going to schedule them out, right? So I'm going to send this video in. He's going to chop it, write captions, schedule them out. All I have to do, if I want to, is I can go in and edit them, make sure it looks like something I would say, and make sure it doesn't say something I really don't want it to say. Like, I get the final approval, but I've grown to really trust my team. So I just go in and approve them. Like, I'm to the point where 80-20, if it's 80% there, I'm stoked, because It takes less than a minute for me to approve all my posts for the week. And then I'm done, right? And that is a really, really relieving feeling to know that I have done the work and that it will get presented to the public, to my following, to my network, right? In a systematized way to where I'm not stressing about it every day. Because on my good days, I can sit down and post. I don't mind it. I even sometimes I'll get some inspiration. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna post this, and it goes well. But then things come up, and all of a sudden it's been a whole week and I haven't posted at all. I'm like, damn, okay, well, that's not consistency. That's me falling to the level of my system, and my system before SVM just didn't exist. And essentially I was kind of like hiding in plain sight because I was doing the work, but I wasn't putting my message out there. People didn't know what I was up to. They didn't have a chance to reach out if you're a small business owner, like, oh, maybe I could use SVM. They didn't know, oh, Peter has a painting company. I want to get my exterior painted this summer. They didn't know to reach out to me because I'm not like at the top of their mind. I'm not kind of bumped to the top of their feed on their social media. And that's where a lot of people spend their time. So the issue really is that, you've been set up to fail. Like if you run a business, you have so many other things that you need to worry about besides posting your content, right? And this is why small business owners avoid their content. It kind of feels like a game for influencers. Like they're caught up in this like dopamine rush of like a post. I get feedback. People like my posts, they follow me, they subscribe, whatever the language is for that platform. But I get that dopamine rush over and over and over. And so it's really gamified the life of an influencer. But most small business owners don't want to play that game. They don't have time. They don't have energy. They shouldn't want to play that game. That's not the game that they've chosen. The game that they're in is, I'm running this business. I'm trying to build a life for myself. I'm trying to create opportunities for other people. I provide a service that helps people, like whatever their why is. That's why they're in the game. They're not trying to get the quick rush of the dopamine. And so most business owners don't want to play that game, and nor should they. And the time, the energy, the constant kind of second guessing of like, is this a good post? Maybe I should say it better. What should I write for this caption? Should I do a video? Should I do a static post? Should I just do a text post? Should I do it now? Is there an optimized time to release it? That is super overwhelming, and you don't need more overwhelming things to do if you're already running a business. So I would like to challenge you to kind of reframe this problem. The problem is not that you hate marketing, right? You actually like marketing. You want to be reaching more people. You want people to know what you're up to. You want to grow followership. You want to build your network. You want people to trust you enough to give you their business. What you hate doing is wasting your time, right? You don't hate marketing. You hate wasting your time. There is a big distinction there, okay? You don't hate being visible. You don't hate being in public. You hate when it feels fake. You hate forcing it. You hate trying to make something up that isn't authentic. So these are just little reframes that you can kind of use to convince yourself that there's a better way, right? You don't hate social media. You hate not having a clear plan on what to do to move the needle in your business, right? If you were sure that every time you did a thing that it would move the needle, you're very likely to continue to do that thing, okay? The problem is that it's not entirely clear when you're on social media, am I moving the needle or not? And the reality is that sometimes you are, sometimes you're not, but it really is a numbers game. So you can't just post whenever you feel like it and expect extraordinary results. You have to post consistently. You have to post genuine, authentic content. You have to speak to your audience in a way that builds trust, that gets them to get to know who you are, get them to like you, get them to trust you, get them to see the value in what you're up to. You have to have a plan for that. Otherwise, it's not going to work. If you're just occasionally scattershot posting whenever you feel like it, it's not going to work, right? You're already winning at the stuff that matters. You run a successful business. You are an entrepreneur. You're a small business owner. Maybe you're just a manager, but you're figuring out how to build your presence online. Like, it's still going to benefit the business that you run, even if you don't own it. But especially if you own your business, what you're doing matters. It matters for you. It matters for your family. It matters for your life. All I want to do is help you show the work that you are doing that people need to see, right? I want to help you build a system that will allow you to show up in public, genuinely, authentically, who you are, and do it in a consistent way to where you don't have to burn all of that mental bandwidth over and over of like, oh, I know I need to post today. I just can't do it. I know that it would be important. I know it would be great if I could just get this message out. But I don't have time today. I don't have the energy. Personally, my cycle is that I record, I review it. I don't like it, I delete it. I record again. I do that at least a couple times. As soon as I get an acceptable video, I go into like a panic mode of like, okay, what should my caption be? The fact is, I care way more about what my caption is than anybody in my audience does, right? I'm the one that is the problem here. I'm the overthinker. My audience isn't going to really sit down and analyze like, I wonder if Peter could have said that in a little bit better way. The point is that I'm getting my message out. The point is not that I'm saying it perfectly. I'm not a perfect person. So spoiler alert, my message is not going to come across perfectly. But what I can do is I can have a system in place that allows me to show up in a consistent manner, that I can get my content out there, that people can kind of understand what I'm up to. And what SBM does is it removes all of the friction to this process, right? It makes posting online effortless. Now, I didn't say there's no effort. I said posting online is effortless, okay? The effort comes from you building your business, from you gaining the knowledge. And all you have to do is be willing to sit down and talk about it. If you can talk about your business for an hour every week, we can provide to you up to 1,200 posts every year. Okay. There's no way that doesn't move the needle. So you're already doing the business. You already know the content. If you can't talk about your business for an hour every week, I would challenge you to maybe take some inventory on what you're up to. Like, do you not know about your business that much? Do you not care about your business that much? If you know and care about your business enough that you can post or you can record for an hour every week, then we can remove all the friction from you having to post it, right? That's the part that becomes effortless. Every business has a story, okay? The key is that you have to show and tell people your story, right? You didn't start your business for the money. Yeah, we all need money. We have bills to pay. Like, this is just the world we live in. It's the water in which we swim. But that's not usually why people start their business. They usually started because of an idea. They started because they cared about something, because they knew they could help people, because they had something that they just couldn't ignore within themselves, right? They have like this why moment. And it's the moment that they decide that they are going to make a jump, right? For me, the moment happened when I had a really good job, but I realized that the only time I would ever get any money is when I was trading my hours for that money, right? And so I recognized that I had other things that I wanted to do. At the time I'm recording this, my wife is 35 and a half weeks pregnant. So I have a baby coming in about a month. And I recognized that I want to be able to spend time with my wife and my baby. And I can't just trade my hours for dollars, because now I have my family on one side and my money on the other side. And I have to make trade-offs. And that's not a trade-off I wanted to make. So I recognize that I need to build a business, or build an ecosystem of businesses that can work while I'm not working, and I can make some money on my own, and I don't have to trade my hours to make my money. Not everybody has that situation. Some people really love their business, and they love their job. They love the industry that they're in. And if that's you, that's fine, right? You might be in a phase in your life where the smartest move is to just, stay safe, keep your head down, get your hourly wage. Maybe you have a salary, but either way, like it doesn't necessarily always call for you to make this jump at every moment. But for the people who have made the jump, they know that that was the right move for them to make. Like they feel this kind of burning desire to make a shift, to take some agency and to become kind of the captain of their own ship, so to speak. Not everybody has that experience. Some people have like a really painful reason to leave. Like maybe they have a really toxic work environment and they're like, I have to do something different. Maybe that there's a situation where their job, they get laid off, they lose their job. And so they're like, okay, well, I don't really have a choice. I have to make it happen for myself. But there's a fire that keeps people going and it keeps them working harder than they have to. And these why moments are kind of like the origin story of your business. Okay. Here is the biggest point I want to drive home. That origin story, that why, that is your marketing. Okay. People don't really care what you're selling. People don't buy products. People buy people. So if you can't present your story in public, people don't understand not just what you're doing, but why you're doing it. You can't portray kind of the passion and excitement that you have for why you're doing it, then people aren't going to resonate with it. They're not going to buy. So people buy beliefs, they buy values, they don't just buy services. And the story that you share creates this emotional resonance. People, they resonate with the story that you're sharing, right? It builds trust. It builds loyalty. People want to be a part of something that they really believe in. So when they see you genuinely, authentically living and running your business in public, they are going to recognize that and they're going to say, okay, this is somebody I can get behind, right? Your story is the bridge between you and your ideal customer, okay? The story is what connects you to. Now, it doesn't connect you to everybody. I said it connects you to your ideal customer, okay? The people who are really going to resonate with your story, that's who you're speaking to, okay? Now, trust me, I get it. You don't think your story is special. I feel the same way, okay? The problem is that it is, okay? Everybody's story is special. It's not special to everybody, but there is a small subset of the population who is going to resonate with your story. The fact that you care, the fact that you stuck with it, the fact that you wake up every day and keep showing up, doing what you do for your business, that's your story, okay? And people are going to resonate with that if you can share not just what you do, but why you're doing it. These why moments, this kind of epiphany, this breakthrough of like, I had to make a change and I'm going to start my own business. I'm going to do it my way, whatever that is. That is the story. Okay. I can think of a lot of examples where, I know people, they have this, this burning desire to make a change, like, a gym, an academy owner who's like, I'm going to do it differently. I'm going to do it my way. I'm going to open my own school. These stories are super inspirational to me. There's also people who have been inspired because of bad advice, so like I know a personal trainer who started his own gym because he was so sick of hearing all the bad advice that people online and other trainers and stuff were giving. And so he wanted to make a difference. He was like, there's a better way to do this. And he started his own business because he wants to make a shift in the industry. There's, contractors and people that I work with on the job site who started their business because they were tired of seeing people get ripped off. They wanted to set a high standard. Like, it's a shady industry. There's people who are just in it to make a quick buck and they're not necessarily values driven. And so I know, contractors and subcontractors who start their kind of niche industry that they want to like make a difference because they want to set high standard. And, even for myself personally, like I created SBM out of necessity. Like, I don't want to have to record myself every day, write my own captions, edit my own videos, post them every day. I can't do all that. I have too many other things to do. And the point of all this is that these stories matter, but they only matter if you're willing to put them out there in public, right? We have some really incredible clients on the SPM portfolio who have made a huge difference. Like, one of my clients, went from maybe 100 connections on LinkedIn to over 1,400, which is cool, right? He went from, like, 300 300 views on YouTube to over 20,000 views. That's also cool, right? That's the dopamine rush that I was talking about. But the cool thing about this client is not just that he increased his followership and his viewership, but he also closed over $500,000 just from the videos that he was posting. Like, he did not do anything else but post these videos to his network. People in his network watched these videos and they became clients. And he closed over $500,000 in business in just a little over a year. So this is a really cool example of the success story of what SPM can do. The fact is, customers should hear your story. They should know what you're up to. Your story might actually nudge somebody else into taking some action. Like, maybe you don't think what you're doing matters, but there are lots of other people who are stuck in a place that you were stuck in. And when you decided to make the leap, that might, if you share that story, that might really resonate with those people. It might encourage them, inspire them to make the leap themselves. So, all of this kind of, like, this media, this viewership, followership, kind of the talk about, like, putting yourself out there. This is not just about, like, selling, right? This is about leadership, right? You showing up in public gives other people the permission to believe in themselves and believe that they can do it too, right? The fear of performing doesn't mean that you have to let it, like, freeze you. You have to get over this idea that you're not performing in public. What you're doing is you're just doing what you're already up to in a public way. Your content doesn't mean that you're acting, right? Not all of a sudden I'm on stage, I'm going to become this person who's got it all figured out, who knows everything about business, and now I'm going to tell everybody how much the man I am. You don't have to try to be funny. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to do all the little trends. You don't have to do your TikTok dances. You just have to be present. You just have to show up. And if you can kind of reframe this visibility as the contribution, right, that really makes a big difference. You're not trying to be an influencer. You're trying to show people what it looks like to run something that matters. Your business matters. It helps people. It provides a service. It inspires people because you're the one that's doing it. And if you can share that story in public, other people are going to be inspired by that. They're not only going to want to become one of your clients, they might even want to make that leap and become their own small business owner. They might, get bit by the entrepreneurial bug. And I believe that many people would be much happier if they were willing to take that leap and do something for themselves. But if they don't see other people who are in a situation similar to theirs, they might feel like that's too scary to do alone. Well, the truth is, you're not alone. There's lots of us who have made this leap. And one of my goals in sharing my content is to share my story of, what led me to make the decision to make the jump, what made me want to start and run my own business, why I saw that as actually the safer option. A lot of people think that having a job is much safer than running and owning your own business. I would challenge that because, if you run your own business, you actually have a lot of agency. You can really determine most of your outcomes in a lot more tangible way than if you're an employee. Like, an employee is kind of at the whim of their manager or ownership group. If they get a change of heart, they can decide to close your position or just remove you, with no real reason. Like, you are kind of at the disposal of the people that you work for. And if you own your own business, you actually get a lot more agency, a lot more freedom to at least go down, with a fight. Like, you go down swinging. You don't just show up one day and they say, "Hey, here's your box. Like, pack your stuff. You're done." That's a scary proposition, that you're kind of at the whim of your ownership or your leadership group. And so I believe that people would be better off if they were willing to make that jump and start their own business. But if they're doing it under the assumption that they're alone in doing that, that can be a really scary proposition. And so I believe that sharing my story in a public way could be inspiring to somebody who's on the fence. It could be affirming to somebody who has just made the leap. It creates a lot of connections that I didn't realize that it would. I've had people that I've known for decades and I haven't talked to in a long time. They reach out now because all of a sudden I'm kind of up to this new thing and I'm sharing what I'm up to in public. Like, people see kind of, I don't just post how great I am. I post all my struggles, my challenges, my issues. I post what it's like to be an entrepreneur, what it's like to be a small business owner. I post myself doing my cold plunges. I post, coaching fighters. I post being on the job site, what I'm up to day to day. And these kind of small personal anecdotes, these small posts, those are the ones that actually have the impact, right? People just need to see one of your posts and it might be the one that resonates. So you have to kind of get out of your own way. You have to recognize that there is something that is stopping you from doing this. And my challenge to you is to answer for yourself, what is stopping you from sharing your story? What if you reframed it as, how could I help other people who are in a similar position by sharing what I'm up to online? Take a quick coffee break here. So this kind of brings me to the point of where SBM came from. I would like you to see Streamlined Business Media, SBM, as the confidence and the consistency system. You don't have to write your captions. You don't have to edit your videos. You don't have to schedule your posts. All you have to do is record it once and then let us handle it. It's not outsourcing your personality. It's just amplifying what you're already doing, right? You're already doing the hard part. All you need to do is let us help you show up online in a consistent and confident way by just giving you a chance to sit down and talk about your business, and then letting us take care of all the minutia, take care of all the kind of daily grinding and heavy lifting of putting your content out there. If you want to spend more time doing what you're good at, serving clients, leading your team, maybe you just want to spend some more time with your family, let us handle the content part. All you have to do is just, record yourself and send it to us. Like, you can really buy back your time in a way that will continue to allow you to show up online, but it won't be such a daily slog of having to go through the ups and downs and challenges of posting consistently. So essentially, SPM is a confidence and consistency system. You don't have to write your own content. You don't have to edit all of the clips. You don't have to figure out what captions you want to write. You don't have to schedule all your posts. All you have to do is just record one time and then send us the link and we will handle the rest. It's not outsourcing your personality. It's amplifying what is already there. You're already working in your business. You're already doing the hard part. Just let us help you systematize and build the confidence and the consistency in your system. I want you to spend time doing what you're the best at, serving your clients, leading your team, spending time with your family, and let us handle the content part. Imagine yourself already having your platforms posting on a regular basis. It's a steady drumbeat of posts every day, every week, whatever the cadence is. Imagine your prospects already trusting you before they call you because of the time you've put into those posts over the course of months, if not years. Imagine freeing yourself from the content stress permanently. Imagine letting go of having to worry about what your posting cadence is. Let us handle that part. And once you realize that SBM is really kind of like a consistent schedule and a platform that allows you to just be more of yourself, the personal relief that you feel when SBM is a systematized solution for you, that your client stories have your clients have read your story, they hear about your story, they learn who you are in person, right? It's not being fake, there's no filters, there's no gimmicky dances, it's just the real you being visible in public, and being authentic, being who you are in a way that other people can see. You've done the hard work, you've earned the respect, you've stuck to it when other people have quit. You're already the person you need to be. You just haven't shown everyone who you are. You haven't done it in public. You don't need more hustle. You don't need more grind. You don't need to be more of anything. What you need is a system to show people who you already are, right? You need to do what you're doing in public. You're already doing the hard part. Let us handle the posting, the captions, everything else, so that you can continue to do more of what you want to do. If you're ready, we're ready. Let us take on the work and help the world see who you are. Okay. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, I would love feedback on this. I'm always learning, always growing, always trying to improve my system. If there's things you'd like me to talk more about, if you want me to expand on any of the points, I'm happy to. Please feel free to reach out and give me feedback. My email is peter@streamlinedbusinessmedia.com, and I look forward to talking to you. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time.